This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 11, Episode 14, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington across social media. And I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Rick Snyder Empire. So watch me somewhere. Anyway, I don't know if there's such a good thing as a good loss or a bad win or any of that. But I think the Washington Commanders showed me who they are when they lost to the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. Basically, it said, good enough offense to contend, bad enough defense to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, as in years past where this defense was good enough to kind of keep the offense, somewhat in the game, that script has been completely flipped. I mean, we saw this defense against Tampa, who's a pretty decent offense. We saw them against the Giants. They struggled, who's not a good offense at all. And then, they struggled against the Cincinnati Bengals offense, but our offense, their defense was just as bad.
Yeah.
And then the past 2 weeks against the Browns and Cardinals, we've seen a pretty dominant defense. Although I was surprised that the pick that they had against Lamar was their first pick of the season. Like, we can't get interceptions. What's going on here? I mean, but I think, a lot of people talked about, moral victories. If there is such a thing as a moral victory and a loss, this team did prove to you that there is fight in it. This is a dog that they come with a lot of fight. I was impressed. I'll say that. And I was impressed with Jaden Daniels. A lot of people nationwide have been talking about, oh, well, he's a running quarterback. He's just a running quarterback. Obviously, they're not watching him. All he can do is throw the deep ball and short intermediate passes. What I was most impressed with, Rick, was the fact that there was no run game whatsoever. Brian Robinson was out. Eckler's a smaller back. That Ravens defense and their defensive line is a strong suit of that team, and they have been for 15 years. But when they made Jaden sit in the pocket and throw the ball, he threw good passes. That second touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, I don't know if there's maybe 5 quarterbacks in the league that could make that throw, and for Terry to catch it with the guy basically laying on his back. I mean, it was a very impressive defeat. I'll say that.
And that was an off-script play on that touchdown because there was going to be a slant, and JD got to the line and figured, oh, we're screwed on that. But he had told Terry to be ready, and Terry read his body language and knew to go turn out. And, to have that kind of chemistry.
I know, 6 games into the season.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it was a great play, but it was just, wow. I don't know too many quarterbacks and receivers that pull off that combo there. So, I thought it basically showed that they're not quite good enough, but on a given day, they can fight their way forward and maybe win some of those. So I still think they got a decent chance for the playoffs. At 4-2, you can play Carolina on Sunday. You got to win that one.
Well, and you really have to look at the division too. I mean, yes, the Eagles won, but they struggled against the Browns. That was a team that we just saw here at Northwest Field that we pretty much put our foot on their throats and ended the game at the end of the third quarter. You got to remember Mariota was in at the end of that game. Then you look at Dallas. I mean, the comparison is, obviously Washington went up against a Super Bowl contending team in the Ravens. They battled back and forth and came up short. You look at the flip side with the Cowboys going up against a Super Bowl favorite in the Detroit Lions, and they put up 9 points, and I think what did Detroit score? 47 on them?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a complete lopsided beatdown. So, you can look at the division and look, New York their offense is hot garbage. Their defense is pretty solid. I'll say this. But, you look at the division and it is very winnable. And you have to take solace in the fact that this team, this is 6 games into Jaden Daniels' career. The team has progressed way faster than anybody expected them to. And, we saw some trades today. Amari Cooper goes to Buffalo. Devontae Adams goes to the Jets. Adam Peters is making smart moves. Do you know what those 2 wide receivers got traded for? 3rd-round picks.
Yeah.
What did we get for Jahan Dotson, who, I looked up the stats, has 6 catches for 35 yards as an Eagle?
How many games? 4?
6, 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that includes with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown missing time. So you would think, hey, there's your slot wide receiver. He's going to be elevated to number 1. Nope. So we got a 3rd-round pick for Jahan Dotson. So you can kind of see what Adam Peters wants to do. I don't think he's going to go out and make drastic trades to try and force his way into the playoffs. He has a track that he wants this team to be on. They're ahead of schedule, but they're going to stay on the track. Unless they're, and I'll say this, Rick, unless there's a 24 to 27-year-old cornerback that's out there, that's the only play. We lost John Allen. Okay. That's why they drafted Johnny Newton. That's why they kept Fedarian Mathis. That's why they brought in defensive line help in the offseason. John Allen is a Pro Bowler for this team, but he's not Myles Garrett. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not a dominant player. I mean, I've been surprised by how many people keep yelling about trade. And I thought, it's never enough. That's for sure for people. But nah, I don't see the trade coming. I mean, the first-round picks have doomed this team. They're lucky to be able to do it. The last 6 first-round picks did not play on Sunday on there. And now Allen's out. Dotson was a bust. They didn't even make Emmanuel Forbes or Jamin Davis active. And Quinn said after the game, they didn't play Forbes because they needed a more stout defensive lineman up front. That's such nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Forbes is playing lights out, he's not sitting on the bench.
No, and that's the thing, because yes, we attacked the run game. They kept Derrick Henry in check in the first half, but they let Zay Flowers go crazy. That's where you, if you, like you said, if Emmanuel Forbes was playing well and was a part of the team's plan, that's where you would have needed him, because you needed someone. Benjamin St. Juste is too big to go toe to toe with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is fast. You need a small, quick corner to cover that guy. And Emmanuel Forbes was not active. The writing is on the wall for Jamin and Forbes. I'm sorry. It just is. Forbes was kept because he only had 1 year in the league. They thought, well, we can't get rid of this guy. Let's see what we got. Joe Witt and Dan Quinn probably sat back and thought, let's see what we can get out of the kid. And the writing is on the wall. I'm sorry. It just is. And yeah, you're right. All of Ron Rivera's first-round draft picks did not play for this team on Sunday. 2 of them are in other teams, and 2 of them are sitting.
And Effie Obata was activated instead of playing Jamin Davis. So that tells you something there, too. Obata's been gone for a year. I didn't particularly notice him in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, that's the thing with Forbes last week. They got Forbes back from the hand injury, and he played 4 snaps.
Yeah. So, they have who they're going to play.
Yeah. Although I'll say this, with the injury to Armstrong, they may be forced to play Jamin Davis in a reserve role. I don't know. Dante Fowler and Cleveland Farrell and those guys are healthy, but he may be forced into a rotational role, but that's about it. He's not going to be a starter for this team again.
But what I hate about the D line is basically 4 guys rushing straight ahead and not getting there.
Yeah.
Don't we try any trick or plays? Don't we try any blitzes? Don't we try any stunts? Stuff? None of us. It's just, here you 4, go forward. And they just can't get there. And that leaves the secondary naked. And like you say, St. Juste would be, maybe he could cover the second or third guy. He just can't handle the top receiver. He should not be there. Just, Sainer still is really a different, he's not an outside corner either. He's getting back, give him that. Quan Martin, I thought, showed up on this. Yep. With John Allen now out, I'd look to Fedarian Mathis and say, you want a 3rd season here? What do you got? Because you're supposed to be the same guy as Johnny Newton, but, you're the old coach's pick, not the new coach's pick.
Yeah.
So they need these guys stout to go do it. I mean, I get it. You wanted a really stout line because you're going to be facing, a great running back like that. But it just, you can say what you want, but we all can read between the lines.
And I'll say this, if they do decide to keep St. Juice, honestly, St. Juice would be better off used in that old Sua Craven's Buffalo nickel position where he can cover a tight end. He can, he can blitz if needed, like, cause he's a bigger dude. I mean, he's he's damn near a linebacker if you think about it, but you could put him in that hybrid role. But I don't know. I don't know what St. Juice's stats or status is with this team. I think he's kind of just forced to play. I think he unfortunately gets picked on both by the fan base and by the opposing team's quarterback. Like you said, that's a nickel type corner that's being forced to be the number one.
Yeah. Of course, we got to talk about Jaden Daniels, and I thought Jaden.
I'll talk about Jaden Daniels all day.
I know. We've actually gotten him partway in the show without mentioning him, which won't happen very often.
I talked about him a little bit, but we'll go into it.
I love that the national announcers they're finally like, ooh, we have to pay attention to Washington. Of course, they knew nothing about it. Romo was like, oh, for the Battle of the DMV. No, Baltimore's not part of DMV on any stretch. Battle of the Beltways. Really, where do they intersect? Every city's got a beltway, so you could say every game's a battle of the. I hate these cliche people because they don't want to work hard enough to know what's going on this. It was kind of crazy, but Jaden, he got everybody's respect. It wasn't the easiest game, and he still had decent stats. He competed well. There's a couple of things you regret, but he'll get better. I mean, his eyes are getting better. You could see how he was throwing off secondaries by looking one way and throwing another. That kind of stuff. It's just hard to teach any of that. So, once again, he's a keeper. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like I talked about, his ability to, when the Ravens take away his legs and they force him to be a pocket passer, and he still goes out there and throws 2 touchdowns for, 236 or 226, whatever he had. This is a guy that's obviously made highlight reels with his legs. And for him to still go out there and have those stats and throw those beautiful balls, being forced to throw them from the pocket, it's just impressive to me. It's the intangibles that come with this kid that you can't teach that are the most impressive. Obviously, look, all the highlights are the deep ball to Terry against Cincinnati and, all the scramble plays on 4th down. But realistically, when you look at the kid being able to go through his progressions like he's a 10-year vet in his 6th game, that's what's most impressive. The laser balls that he throws to Zach Ertz in the middle of the field, the way that like I said, the way that he snuck that ball into Terry, and like you had mentioned, that was not the design play for him to, and for him to be in his 6th game as a rookie, and in this offense, the offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, is entrusting him to go to the line and audible and shift and move players. You don't see that from a rookie. I mean, they have completely entrusted this kid with this offense, and he's passing with flying colors, if you ask me. I know, obviously the big comparison is going to be between him and Caleb Williams, and the NFL did flex their game. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, in the next coming weeks, but that game did get flexed to national TV 425.
Yeah, two straight home games at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, sucks for you.
Yeah, I was just like, I like to get up to go to work and just go to work instead.
You know what? Hey, it's a good thing you might be retiring at the end of the year because this team is going to be in the national spotlight a lot coming up in the future if this keeps up.
I was sitting on the lazy boy, half asleep at halftime.
But no, that's the thing. I mean, everybody, for some reason, we have to compare the two. And I don't know, Bears fans are very argumentative when it comes to Caleb versus Jaden. I don't know why. Both can succeed if you ask me. But obviously Caleb threw 4 touchdowns and an interception against Jacksonville in London, but I don't know. I mean, they're both really good. I just feel like Jaden's progression is head and shoulders above what Caleb Williams is doing.
Yeah. Of course, the bad news was that the Washington Commanders kicker missed one, which was tipped.
Blocked. It was blocked.
It was hit. So then that extra point was just threw up all over everybody on that one. But it went through. Yeah, I thought it missed. It did go through. And then what I liked is that the coach brought him right back out in that next drive they had after halftime, and said, "Okay, this one's 55. Go for it." And he showed the confidence and nailed the ball. It was a great kick.
Yeah, kicker has been solidified for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's really just been special for them. So
and that's one thing too, Rick, that we haven't really talked about. In contrast to the previous regime, how it was kind of like ho hum, we got 30 seconds on the clock till half. Let's just kneel or run the ball. Dan Quinn and Cliff, they love, hey, let's march down there. Let's try and get a couple points before the half. And then we're going to get that ball after halftime and we're going to go get more points. Like just the tempo and the feel of this coaching staff versus what we've had for so long. It's hard to understand to me as a fan, like how bad it was previously.
I'm still somebody, especially in this game, that if you won the toss, I take the ball first and try and go up 7-0 and try and dictate it.
I get that.
I mean, I try to steal a game, and you don't always get that last possession, first possession thing either. So, maybe, but not always. I would have tried to go up 7. I don't know why they don't, because your defense is going to give up a score, and you're down, and now you're playing from behind. Mm-hmm. And like they seem to win a lot of the coin tosses and just defer. I think it's just so conservative. I wouldn't do it. All right, we got to get out of here because I don't know what time it is, but whatever. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.